Hi there. This is a second chapter of grade 8 biology and I'm super duper excited. Are you excited too? Great. Then let's begin with the chapter microorganisms, friend and foe. You have seen several kinds of plants and animals. However, there are other living organisms around us which we normally cannot see. These are called microorganisms or microbes. For example, you might have observed that during the rainy season, moist bread gets spoiled and its surface gets covered with grayish white patches. If we observe these patches through a magnifying glass, we will see tiny black rounded structures. Do you know what these structures are and where do these come from? Well, these structures are made by microorganisms, especially rhizopus, also known as bread mold, and they do not come from anywhere else. In fact, they are present in the surrounding itself. Under favorable conditions, they grow and reproduce. Now, let's talk more about microorganisms. To understand microorganisms better, we performed an activity. We collected some moist soil from the field in a beaker and added water to it. After the soil particles had settled down, we observed a drop of water from the beaker under a microscope. Do you know what did we see? We saw tiny organisms moving in soil water. Then we performed one more activity. We took a few drops of water from a pond and then we spread it on a glass slide. We observed it through a microscope. Guess what did we see? We again saw some microorganisms. These observations show that water and soil are full of tiny organisms, though not all of them fall into the category of microbes. These microorganisms or microbes are so small in size that they cannot be seen with the unaided eye. Some of these, such as the fungus that grows on bread, can be seen with a magnifying glass. Others cannot be seen without the help of a microscope. That is why these are called microorganisms or microbes. Microorganisms are classified into four major groups. These groups are bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and some algae. Diseases like dysentery and malaria are caused by protozoa, whereas typhoid and tuberculosis are bacterial diseases. You have learnt about some of these microorganisms in classes 6 and 7. Now let's see some examples. Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra are algae, whereas Paramecium and amoeba are protozoa. Penicillium and Aspergillus are fungi. We discussed about one more fungi. Do you remember which one? Comment below and tell us. And yes, there is also a fifth type of microorganism, which is virus. Viruses are also microscopic but are different from other organisms. They, however, reproduce only inside the cells of the host organism, which may be a bacterium, plant, or animal. That means viruses are alive only inside a host. Serious diseases like polio and chickenpox are also caused by viruses. Now, the next question is, where do microorganisms live? Microorganisms may be a single celled like bacteria, some algae and protozoa, or multicellular, such as many algae and fungi. They live in all types of environment, ranging from ice cold climate to hot springs and deserts to marshy islands. They are also found inside the bodies of animals, including humans. Some microorganisms grow on other organisms while others exist freely. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is microorganisms and us. Microorganisms play an important role in our life. Some of them are beneficial in many ways, whereas some others are harmful and cause diseases. Let us study about them in detail. Let's first know our friendly microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for various purposes. They are used in the preparation of curd, bread, and cake. Microorganisms have been used for the production of alcohol since ages. They are also used in cleaning up of the environment. For example, the organic waste like vegetable peels, remains of animals, fecuses are broken down into harmless and usable substances by bacteria. Recall that bacteria are also used in the preparation of medicines. In agriculture, they are used to increase soil fertility by fixing nitrogen. We just saw how many ways does the friendly microorganism help us in. Now let's see the making of curd and bread. You have learnt in class 7 that milk is turned into curd by bacteria. Curd contains several microorganisms. Of these, the bacterium Lactobacillus promotes the formation of curd. It multiplies in milk and converts it into curd. Bacteria are also involved in the making of cheese, pickles, and many other food items. An important ingredient of rava idli and bhaturas is curd. Can you guess why? Well, this is because curd contains several microorganisms including lactobacillus bacteria which undergoes anaerobic respiration. And in this process, it acts on the sugar of the flour and releases carbon dioxide. This gas makes the dough rise, and when baked or fried, the gas escapes, leaving the idli or bhatura soft and spongy. Bacteria and yeast are also helpful for fermentation of rice idlis and dosa batter. Now, to see this, we performed an activity. We took half kg flour, added some sugar, mixed some warm water. We also added a small amount of yeast powder and then kneaded to make a soft dough. We observed after 2 hours the dough was rising. Now, why was that? That's because yeast reproduces rapidly and produces carbon dioxide during respiration. Bubbles of the gas fill the dough and increases its volume. This is the basis of the use of yeast in the baking industry for making breads, pastries, and cakes. Now let's see the commercial use of microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for the large scale production of alcohol, wine, and vinegar or acetic acid. Yeast is also used for commercial production of alcohol and wine. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugars present in grains like barley, wheat, rice, crushed fruit juices, etc. Hope you're liking the chapter. If so, please hit the like button. Before going forward, let's do one more activity. Take a 500 ml beaker filled up to 3/4 with water. Dissolve 2 or 3 spoons of sugar in it. Add half a spoon of yeast powder to the sugar solution. Keep it covered in a warm place for 4 to 5 hours. Now smell the solution. Can you get a smell? This is the smell of alcohol as sugar has been converted into alcohol by yeast. This process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is known as fermentation. By the way, do you know that Louis Pasteur discovered fermentation in 1857. Good to know that, right? Okay, now let's see medicinal use of microorganisms. Whenever you fall ill, the doctor may give you some antibiotic tablets, capsules, or injections, such as of penicillin. The source of these medicines is microorganisms. These medicines kill or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms. Such medicines are called antibiotics. These days, a number of antibiotics are being produced from bacteria and fungi. Streptomycin, tetracycline, and erythromycin are some of the commonly known antibiotics which are made from fungi and bacteria. The antibiotics are manufactured by growing specific microorganisms and are used to cure a variety of diseases. Antibiotics are even mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infection in animals. They are also used to control many plant diseases. It is important to remember that antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. Also, you must complete the course prescribed by the doctor. If you take antibiotics when not needed or in wrong doses, it may make the drug less effective when you might need it in future. Also, antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the beneficial bacteria in the body. Antibiotics, however, are not effective against cold and flu as these are caused by viruses. So, after antibiotics, let's talk about vaccine. When a disease carrying microbe enters our body, the body produces antibodies to fight the invader. The body also remembers how to fight the microbe if it enters again. If dead or weakened microbes are introduced into a healthy body, the body fights and kills the invading bacteria by producing suitable antibodies. The antibodies remain in the body and we are protected from the disease causing microbes forever. This is how a vaccine works. Several diseases, including cholera, tuberculosis, hepatitis, and smallpox, can be prevented by vaccination. Do you know that Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine for smallpox in 1798? Also, do you know why are children or infants given vaccination? And this is because vaccines help the immune system to recognize and fight against infectious diseases. These are some of the important vaccines given to infants and children: hepatitis B, diphtheria, tetanus, and acellular pertussis vaccine, HIV vaccine, MMR vaccine, and some more. It is essential to protect all children against these diseases. Necessary vaccines are available in the nearby hospitals. You might have seen the advertisement on TV and newspapers regarding protection of children against polio under the Pulse Polio program. Polio drops given to children are actually a vaccine. A worldwide campaign against smallpox has finally led to its eradication from most parts of the world. These days, vaccines are made on a large scale from microorganisms to protect humans and other animals from several diseases. Now, let's see increasing soil fertility. Some bacteria are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere to enrich soil with nitrogen and increase its fertility. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. For example, the nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria or blue green algae. Next is cleaning the environment. Let's perform an experiment first. Take two pots and fill each pot half with soil. Mark them A and B. Put plant waste in pot A and things like polythene bags empty glass bottles, and broken plastic toys in pot B. Put the pots aside and observe them after 3-4 weeks. You will find that plant waste in pot A has been decomposed. How did this happen? The plant waste has been converted into manure by the action of microbes. The nutrients released in the process can be used by the plants again. You would also notice that in pot B, the polythene bags, empty glasses, bottles, and broken toy parts did not undergo any such change. The microbes could not act on them and convert them into manure. You often see large amounts of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. You find that they disappear after some time. This is because the microorganisms decompose dead organic waste of plants and animals, converting them into simple substances. These substances are again used by plants and animals. Thus, microorganisms can be used to degrade the harmful and smelly substances and thereby clean up the environment. So, till now, we have learned about friendly microorganisms. Now, let's talk about harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microorganisms cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. Such disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Some microorganisms spoil food, clothing, and leather. Let us study more about their harmful activities. Disease causing microorganisms in humans are called pathogens. Pathogens enter our body through the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the food we eat. They can also get transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or carried by an animal. Microbial diseases can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, water, food, or physical contact and are called communicable diseases. Examples of such diseases include cholera, common cold, chickenpox, and tuberculosis. When a person suffering from common cold sneezes, fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are spread in the air. The virus may enter the body of a healthy person while breathing and cause infection. Now, a good question would be, how do we prevent the spread of communicable diseases? One way could be that we should keep a handkerchief on the nose and mouth while sneezing, or we can wear a mask while going in crowded places. Also, it is better to keep a distance from infected persons. What are the other ways that you can think of? Let us know in the comment section below. There are some insects and animals which act as carriers of disease causing microorganisms. Housefly is one such carrier. The flies sit on the garbage and animal excreta. Pathogens stick to their bodies. When these flies sit on uncovered food, they may transfer the pathogens. Whoever eats the contaminated food is likely to get sick. So, it is advisable to always keep food covered. Avoid consuming uncovered items of food. Another example of a carrier is female Anopheles mosquito, which carries the parasite of malaria, that is Plasmodium. Female Aedes mosquito acts as a carrier of dengue virus. How can we control the spread of malaria and dengue? All mosquitoes breed in water. Hence, one should not let water collect anywhere, in tires, coolers, flower pot, etc. By keeping the surroundings clean and dry, we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. A list of other measures which help to avoid the spread of malaria includes: we can apply mosquito repellent to exposed skin, we can drape mosquito netting over beds, we can put screens on windows and doors, we can definitely wear long pants and long sleeves to cover our skin. If you know of any other method, let us know in the comments below. These are some of the common diseases affecting humans, their mode of transmission, and a few general methods of prevention. You can go through these and keep in mind how to avoid these diseases. Now, let's see some of the disease causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms not only cause diseases in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by bacterium. Foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by a virus. Now let's see disease causing microorganisms in plants. Several microorganisms cause diseases in plants like rice, wheat, potato, sugarcane, orange, apple, and others. The diseases reduce the yield of crops. Here are some common plant diseases caused by microorganisms. They can be controlled by the use of certain chemicals which kill the microbes. Next is food poisoning. Food poisoning could be due to the consumption of food spoiled by some microorganisms. Microorganisms that grow on our food sometimes produce toxic substances. These make the food poisonous, causing serious illness and even death. So, it is very important that we preserve food to prevent it from being spoiled. Having said that, let's see food preservation. You must have learned about the methods used to preserve and store food grains. How do we preserve cooked food at home? We preserve cooked food in the refrigerator at home. Low temperature inhibits the growth of microorganisms and hence the food does not get spoiled easily. You know that bread left unused under moist conditions is attacked by fungus? Microorganisms spoil our food. Spoiled food emits bad smell and has a bad taste and changed color. Is spoiling of food a chemical reaction? If you get some mangoes but could not eat them for a few days, later you would find that they were spoiled and rotten. But have you noticed that the mango pickle that your grandmother makes does not spoil for a long time? Are you confused? Let us study the common methods of preserving food in our homes. We have to save it from the attack of microorganisms. Now, there are many methods that we would know one by one. First is chemical method. Salts and edible oils are the common chemicals generally used to check the growth of microorganisms. Therefore, they are called preservatives. We add salt or acid preservatives to pickles to prevent the attack of microbes. Sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfate are common preservatives. These are also used in jams and squashes to check their spoilage. Next is preservation by common salt. Common salt has been used to preserve meat and fish for ages. Meat and fish are covered with dry salt to check the growth of bacteria. Salting is also used to preserve amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. Next is preservation by sugar. Jams, jellies, and squashes are preserved by sugar. Sugar reduces the moisture content, which inhibits the growth of bacteria which spoil food. Let's see the next preservation method. Preservation by oil and vinegar. Use of oil and vinegar prevents spoilage of pickles because bacteria cannot live in such an environment. Vegetables, fruits, fish, and meat are often preserved by this method. Next one is heat and cold treatments. You must have observed your mother boiling milk before it is stored or used. Boiling kills many microorganisms. Similarly, we keep our food in the refrigerator. Low temperature inhibits the growth of microbes. Now, why does the milk that comes in packets not spoil? This is because the milk is pasteurized. Now, what is pasteurization? Pasteurized milk can be consumed without boiling as it is free from harmful microbes. The milk is heated to about 700 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilled and stored. By doing so, it prevents the growth of microbes. It is called pasteurization. This process was discovered by Louis Pasteur. The last method is storage and packing. These days, dry fruits and even vegetables are sold in sealed airtight packets to prevent the attack of microbes. Next topic is nitrogen fixation. We have learned about the bacterium rhizobium in classes 6 and 7. It is involved in the fixation of nitrogen in leguminous plants or pulses. Do you remember that rhizobium lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants, such as beans and peas, with which it has a symbiotic relationship? Sometimes nitrogen gets fixed through the action of lightning. Do you know how? The high temperature of a lightning bolt can break the bonds of atmospheric nitrogen molecules. Free nitrogen atoms in the air bond with the oxygen in the air to create nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen oxide dissolves in moisture to form nitrates that are carried to Earth's surface by precipitation, from where the plants can use it. But that plants do you know that the amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains constant? You may wonder how. Let us understand this in the next section. Next is nitrogen cycle. Our atmosphere has 78% nitrogen gas. Nitrogen is one of the essential constituents of all living organisms as part of proteins, chlorophyll, nucleic acids, and vitamins. The atmospheric nitrogen cannot be taken directly by plants and animals. Certain bacteria and blue-green algae present in the soil fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into compounds of nitrogen. Once nitrogen is converted into these usable compounds, it can be utilized by plants from the soil through the root system. Nitrogen is then used for the synthesis of plant proteins and other compounds. Animals feeding on plants get these proteins and other nitrogen compounds. When plants and animals die, bacteria and fungi present in the soil convert the nitrogenous waste into nitrogenous compounds to be used by plants again. Certain other bacteria convert some part of them to nitrogen gas, which goes back into the atmosphere. As a result, the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains more or less constant. This is the nitrogen cycle that we just talked about. Bacteria have lived on the earth for much longer than human beings. They are such hardy organisms that they can live under extreme conditions. They have been found living in boiling mud pots and extremely cold icy waters. They have been found in the lakes of caustic soda and in pools of concentrated sulfuric acid. They can survive at depths of several kilometers. They probably can survive in space too. A kind of bacterium was recovered from a camera which stood on the moon for 2 years. There is probably no environment in which bacteria cannot survive. With this, we come to an end of this super interesting chapter. If you like it, please press the like button and let us know. You take care, be kind, make healthier choices, work hard, and play harder. Keep watching I Say Kids, subscribe to the channel, share your video with your friends and family. Bye bye now. Have a nice day.